Hello, PDHP parents. It's Carrie Ann Fitzgerald from the Program for the Development of Human Potential. Hope everybody's doing well today. I'm the Parent Community Outreach Coordinator. So if you're new to this page or to PDHP, welcome. Last week, I had posted 2 videos. And those videos are videos that I use when we talk about this particular workshop. This particular workshop is Preventive Parents. Now remember, PDHP is a prevention agency, so we want to prevent risky behaviors such as alcohol and drug use, especially in our minors. So this is really the cornerstone of the work that we do. The interesting thing is, oftentimes, this is the least requested workshop. I've had some very brave and bold schools make sure that this information gets out to parents. They've even had their faculties sit and do the faculty version of this workshop. And it has always been so interesting. And we've actually gotten so many people who come to this one. So it really makes me think. It's a topic that's needed. So one of the things that I'd like to ask you to do, if you haven't seen those 2 videos that I posted, and those videos are basically this is your brain on drugs pieces. One is from the 80s, one is from just a few years ago. I believe it was 2016 that they redid it. And I wanted to ask what you notice about those 2 pieces. Both of them have that scene, that cast iron skillet on top of the stove, an egg being broken and fried and sizzled. And that question being posed to the viewer. This is drugs, this is your brain on drugs, any questions? Now, what's interesting is I grew up with the first one, the older one. And basically, once that question was posed, any questions, the camera faded to black. And the PSA, public service announcement, was over. In 2016, what I found remarkable is when that section came up, it didn't fade away. Yet you're met with a barrage of young people, children, teenagers, young people in a variety of different settings who all look very different, posing a question back to the camera. Very targeted questions about particular drugs and substances. Perhaps misconceptions, perhaps simply saying, yes, I have questions. So here's the thing. It's a different generation from maybe how we grew up. So what answers can you bring as a parent? And one of the things that's really important to discuss when it comes to these parenting workshops, this is not a, hey, you did something wrong. This is information. And for you to have this information and be armed with this information so that when you come up against these situations that may be difficult, there's something that you can go to. And that go-to could simply be saying to your child, I need a few minutes to look into this. Let's get back to this. And then you come maybe watch this video and you go back and you have that conversation. That's always something valid. But we need information when it comes to this because our kids are asking. And one of the things that's going on is, remember this age group, there's an upswing of use from 10 to 15 years old. Why are these things going on? Why do kids turn to substances? Well, first of all, we know that there's a curiosity that goes on at this age. There's a tendency to look into risk. And sometimes those risks aren't positive. There is also an ease of accessing these items, these substances. Perhaps it's an item that you have at home. Maybe you have beer in your fridge. No judgment, but maybe you have it at home. Maybe there is an older sibling that provides this item. Maybe when we talk about something like vaping, there is a store that they go to that is very easy on checking IDs. Maybe it's simply going into the medicine cabinet and pulling out what's available there, because that has been a trend that we've seen. So we've got ease, we've got curiosity, and we've also got this preconceived notion of what's socially acceptable. We usually see that when we talk about gateway drugs. Drugs that have a social acceptance. Drinking alcohol. We see people do that pretty easily. We see ads for it. Stores are very visible that sell alcohol. Perhaps it's vaping. Within your peer group, maybe this is a very popular thing to do. Maybe we're seeing more and more of that in our social media, imagery of peers who are vaping. So we have that tendency of thinking, well, everybody's sort of doing this. Whole different realm of peer pressure going on there. So we see these different ideas when it comes to social, emotional, and growth and development. We see these things going on out in society. We see things maybe even happening in our own homes, in our communities. So this piece lends itself to just going over a little bit about that. The children at hand, why there's use, what are some of the trends of the drugs and the substances and the alcohol that they maybe see as a go-to, things that maybe you wouldn't even realize. Some of the legal things that are going on, tools and tips for parents. So we will be addressing that over the next few days. But let's start with talking about gateway drugs. The idea with gateway drugs is that there is a propensity for someone to perhaps start to dabble in use of a gateway drug, and this potentially could lead to harder and stronger drugs. We also, as a prevention agency, talk about risk of early initiation to any kind of use. It indicates that throughout the lifespan, this could be a problem behavior. So when we talk about gateway drugs, we're talking about alcohol, and we are talking about smoking or vaping. And there's like a jury out, so to say, about whether marijuana is considered a gateway drug or not. Some people feel that it is. Some people feel that it's maybe beyond that gateway. And there are things that are, of course, going on legally in society and in media that, add to that when it comes to the idea of marijuana as a gateway. So again, these gateway drugs are often those drugs that are, back to what we said, easily accessible. There is some societal norm about it. There's a little more acceptance around it. There's peer interest. There's curiosity. So these are the go-tos. So these are the gateway drugs. And let's get a little more in depth with that as we roll on. So tomorrow we'll talk a little bit more about those gateway drugs and some of these trends that are going on. I'm so glad that you joined me today. Have a happy Wednesday. Keep well, keep safe, and I will talk to you again tomorrow. Bye.